Welcome everybody to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia for the Tier 2 Spanish Grand Prix tonight. Should be a fun one. Very technical circuit with lots of challenges at every single corner. Feels like we say that for every track on this calendar, but these guys will have a true test tonight for 33 laps. Looks like we have our first drivers getting it underway. That is Boy 4 making his return tonight for Alpine. He's going to be the first driver out on track here tonight. A few drivers already onto the medium tires, so the strategy wheel is already stirring. Not even a minute into the qualifying session. Of course, still a lot of factors to play on, but we'll have to see how this race evolves. Spain, it's a very tricky circuit. As we said before, very difficult to make some moves. So these guys are going to have a tough time with each other. The DRS on the main straight is going to be the best chance. And we'll have to see who can capitalize the most. Very tricky turn 9 there, very easy to lose the back end, but looks like we're getting about set for the first laps to get underway. We're going to ride along board for a lap of Spain circuit on the soft tires from Boy 4, so this should be a pretty good lap. Setting up well out of the exit of the chicane. You want to be flat out through this last corner as you approach the DRS straight to set up the lap. It's quite a long run down to turn 1, but the braking zone comes up on you quickly and you don't want to miss it. Just after the 100-meter board for turn 1, take as much curb as you dare at both the first two apexes. Then flat out through turn 3, one of the most exhilarating corners on the circuit. It makes the tires want to scream. Down the run to turn 4, that's an overtaking spot if you dare, but it's also a very tricky corner to get right. Through to turn 5, another heavy braking zone, place where it's very easy to run wide on exit. Through the flat out turn 6 into turn 7. This is another corner I think we might see if you guys have some issues tonight. As you can see there, just running a bit wide and invalidating the lap. So we'll go on board with Shelley, who's going to be the next driver to cross to finish the lap. Up the hill towards turn 9. As much throttle as you dare without running wide. It's very easy to make a mistake through there. Down to turn 10 at the end of the second DRS straight. Up through another tricky corner, a couple of corners, turn 11 and 12. Looks like he does a nice job of that on the mediums. Into the final chicane here. Very easy to throw a whole lap away with a mistake, but looks to have kept it on point. Around the final corner up to the line. Let's see what this time will be on the mediums. It is an 18.4, so that's a decent opening lap. Chris has spun around. Skazzer goes top with an 18.3 also on the mediums. Chris T, the first soft runner to set a valid lap. And it's going to be a 19.4. Vitek also on the mediums, third with a 19.0. Silent Banshee, he's invalidated, so he could be preparing to go for another run. Johnny goes top of the boards, 18.2 on the soft tire. That's a very solid lap time here. Spaceman, the other Williams. And he's going to go 6th place to the 122.0, so some room for improvement there. SD Smith, I believe the championship leader, up to the line, 18.4, goes clear by 2/10 at the top of the leaderboard. Let's go back on with Boy 4. He's invalidated once again. So we'll track Shelley to see if he's... Looks like he's well down on his time, so don't expect it. We'll not expect him to improve at all. Just trying to catch someone who might be on a lap. I think that'll be Kaz, also on the mediums. Going through the middle sector now. to be a very tidy lap on the edge through turn 10. You want to avoid that inside curve, but both turn 11 and 12. It will cause you problems. Turn 13, 90-degree corner, but it's far from easy. Sets himself up pretty well out of the chicane. And up to the line, that's going to put his Ferrari in 8th place with a 20.3 on the medium, so still some time to find. Everybody heading back into the pits, it seems. Boyford is still out on the lap. Let's see if he's pushing here. We've also got the Red Bull Silent Banshee behind. Using up all the curb on the exit there. Very smooth through the chicane, keeps it valid. So we'll see what he can do on this worn set of softs. And I'll put him 7th fastest with a 1:19.2. Silent Banshee, he's well down on his time taking the new route. Let's jump back on with Kaz. He's well down on his time, so nobody, I believe, pushing on a lap for the moment. So we'll keep an eye on the pit lane, see how things go in the next minute or two. Everybody's got their opening runs down, all chasing S.D. Smith at the top of the board. Nearly 2/10 up on Johnny, who's in 2nd. Scanster running in 3rd. Chris Money, the only driver in the other McLaren to not have set a time on that initial round. Looks like we have Krusty T who's about to come out for a lap, so everybody getting set for their 2nd runs of the session. There's McLaren as well, and that is Skadster at the end of the pit lane. Skadster having himself a pretty decent season so far, currently sitting 8th in the championship. Looking to make up a couple spots tonight. He's currently sitting 3rd place tonight, so we'll have to see what time he can set on this set of tires. A lot of guys switching back over to the softs. I believe S.C. Smith, Shelley, and Kaz are the only guys still out on the mediums for the time being. S.C. Smith is the current championship leader by a slim 12 points over Shelley the Turtle, so a lot to play for here as we approach the business end of this season. Only 8 races remain for Tier 2 after tonight. Here's Skadster through the final chicane. He'll be out to set his 2nd flying lap of the session. Everybody starting to come out, get back on track. Still got a couple of guys lagging back in the pits, but still a long way to go. Ooh, a little bit on the curb. Manages to keep it on the road, but he's going to lose that lap time. Boyford is on an out lap, so he is not pushing for the moment. Here's Krusty T next to the opening complex. Very exciting first couple of corners. 2/10 down on his time for the first sector. So already looking pretty good. It's a little bit deep at turn 5, but manages to keep it in the lines. Seventh gear for turn 9, just about on the edge. Manages to keep it on track. You can see how much that outside curb will offset the car though. You can see a lot of the curves here fighting to keep the car on the track at the moment, but he does a good job of it. Approaching the final complex now. Very aggressive line under the first apex of the chicane. It's still a clean lap. Let's see what time that'll be for him. And he finds himself 5th place, just behind his Mercedes teammate with an 18.5. So that's a very solid lap there. Silent Banshee, he is invalidated. Let's drop back to SC Smith on the medium tires, who's going to be next. And looks like he's going to abandon that lap ahead of the pit lane. VTech next on the sauce. Half a second up through the first 2 sectors. Let's see how much more he can improve. And he goes top of the board. First driver into the 117s. That is a nice lap right there. Chris Money about to start. And Shelly's going to be next. I'm very aggressive over the curb at turn 11. Only runs just a bit wide. So that's going to be the end of his lap. Boyford next. He's also invalidated, as the Sun and Benchy as well. Let's go back to Chris Money, who's going to be next. Chris Money on the medium tire, looking to do very well there. That is a nice line through turn 9. Still yet to set the time, so he's going to want to just keep this one within the lines. Runs a bit deep at turn 10. But still on for a good lap. Into the final chicane. Hits the inside curb. They don't want to touch those sausage curbs. That can give you a big problem. Here's Chris up to the line now. And it is an 18.9, so that puts him 8th fastest. A solid lap right there. Here's Charlie the Turtle. He's invalidated once again. You can see on that delta he was 7/10 up. So he's not going to be too pleased with that. Here's Boy 4. Just about even through the first sector. All chasing VTech for the time being, a 117.9, the only driver into the 17 so far. We're also watching the championship battle between SC Smith and Shelly the Turtle. 2nd to 5th, the difference at the moment. Here's Boy Fort, just about keeps it within the lines. And up to the stripe, let's see where this will put him. It's an improvement, but it's not quite going to be enough. So we'll stay 9th place for now. We got Spaceman next, about to start a lap, but we've got Chris Money going through the final sector. He's well off his time, so we're going to switch over to his McLaren teammate, Scadster, going through the middle sector, and he's invalidated. That is unfortunate. We'll drop back to Spaceman, who's pushing through the first sector now. Gonna look to find some improvement. Let's see what his first sector split. He's over a second up already. So this could be a few decent gains for Spaceman. Tracking through the middle sector now. Just about on the curves of turn 12. That's one of the many auto spin curves of the circuit. We got Boy 4 up to the line. Let's see if he's going for another lap. And he does jump to 7th. We're keeping an eye on that on the old mediums. But here comes Spaceman to the line. Which looks to be a pretty good lap so far. And he finds himself up to 10th. So that's a decent lap time right there. We've got a few guys out on out laps now. Into the middle sector as we approach the final 3 minutes of the session. I think Johnny is pushing for at the moment. Runs a bit wide there. Somehow keeps the Keeps the car clean though. Looks like he's maybe backed off. I believe so. We've also got VTech, who's now starting a new lap. Possibly his final run of the session. Currently the only driver in the 17s. He's only about a tenth up on SC Smith at the moment, so he's going to want to keep that gap as much as possible. Oh, look at the snap of oversteer on the exit of turn 9. He does manage to keep it clean. And he's just got to get to the final chicane. Oh, a bit wide there. That's going to cost him a bit of time. Keeps the lap clean, but it's not what he would have wanted. And he's going to head back into the pit lane, so not happy with that lap. Shelley is invalidated. Luckily, he's got enough time to go for another run. Silent Banshee, over half a second up at the moment. That's going to be a decent lap, and he bumps himself up to 5th, so that's a good time right there for the Red Bull man. He can still go again if he wants. Kaz is invalidated. Johnny is next. He's also invalidated. So track limit's catching out quite a few of these guys tonight. Here's Krustier T at the final complex. Only a couple tenths off the second row, so let's see if he can find enough improvement to get up there. He does go up to 5th. It's a very tight through the midfield. Skadster is starting a lap, as is SC Smith through the final corner now. Chris Money is on that lap as well. I think he's going to be just about the last driver to get a time in. Shelley's just behind him. So there's a purple sector too. We'll have to see if that's accurate. Looks like Chris Money is just about going to get his lap started. Looks to be very clean from Shelley. Let's see if he can improve from 7th. He's going to want to have a better starting position than that. And he goes fastest by 2 tenths. A 17.7. That's a very good lap for the Mercedes driver in the championship. A rival for SC Smith. So the battle heats up. Oh, Chris Money's gone around. That's going to be his session over. Kaz going very slowly at the final corner. He's not going to have enough time to get around again. SC Smith, he will be the last driver to have a valid lap. Unless Shelley the Turtle's going again. Let's see if he can improve enough. And he's going into the pit lane. So that should be Skadster on pole for the Spanish Grand Prix. Shelley the Turtle is well down on his delta through the first 2 sectors. But Skads are putting his McLaren on pole. It's a very good run for him. Shelley the Turtle does jump up to 2nd, just ahead of his championship rival SC Smith, who's in 4th. Looking like a very tasty grid for tonight's race. Chris Money going well wide at turn 10. He had that spin at the start of this lap. Perhaps picking up some wing damage there. But this should bring an end to what was an entertaining and thrilling climax to this qualifying session. Which I believe Skadster, I believe that's his first pole of this season. And indeed it is. So Skadster on top of the board. Shelly the Turtle will start second. VTech on the second row alongside SC Smith. Then it's Johnny and Krusty T in row 3. Silent Banshee starting 7th. Boy 4 and Chris Money on the mediums. Spaceman in 10th. And Kaz rounding out the top 11. So it should be an entertaining one. We'll catch you in a couple minutes for the race. And we're about set to get underway here in Spain. Looks like beautiful sunny skies here in the Iberian Peninsula of Europe. Spain should be a fun strategic race. Always the possibility of excuse me. Always the possibility of rain here, even if it is sunny now, so that could throw a wrench into things later into the race. But we're getting set for the formation lap at the moment. Get some excuse me. Alright, so we're underway for the formation lap. Looks like Skadster is going to be on pole alongside Shelly the Turtle in second. Then VTech behind in third, SC Smith, Johnny in fifth, Krusty T 6th, Silent Banshee 7th. Those guys all on the soft tire. Then you have a Boy 4 and Chris 8th and 9th, starting on the mediums. Spaceman rounding out the top 10 on that set of softs, and Kaz outside in 11th. He will be starting on the hard tires tonight. So it should be a fun one. Looks like we're going to have a bit of varied strategy. Chris Money, we know he has some pace starting from 9th on the alternate strategy as well, which should create some more drama. And always the threat of safety cars here. "33 laps. It should be an exciting one. It's going to be an awful long run down to turn 1, so we could see somebody not from the front row and get a good launch and have the advantage into the first braking zone. And they're coming around the final corner now, up to the grid for the start of the Spanish Grand Prix. Hopefully we see a clean start. It's very tricky, complex to navigate at the start of the lap. Scatster and Shelley on pole on the front row. Could be a 2-stop, could be a daring 1-stop. Lots of different ways this could go. And of course, always the possibility of safety cars. But the grid is forming up now. And we are set to go. 4 and 5 lights. And we're off for the Spanish Grand Prix. Looks to be a good jump from Scatster, but a good jump from Shelley as well. They're side by side. That's VTech trying to hold off from Johnny. 3 wide. Oh, there's contact. That's Krusty T off and into the wall. And he's out of the session. So they were trying to go 3 wide up to turn 1. We already have a virtual safety car. Scatster got away well, as did Shelley behind. There's a little bit of 3 wide action. Not sure exactly what happened through there. We had Krusty T get off into the grass and into the wall, and we have our first virtual safety car of the night. Luckily, we should be getting back underway shortly. And there it is, the green flag. So VTech right on the back of Shelley. He's got an opportunity here. Looks like he got a better jump on the VSC restart, but isn't going to be close enough this time. Of course, no DRS for the first 2 laps. Everybody keeping it nice and clean through the rest of the field. Boyford all the way up, already up to 5th on those medium tires. So a good start for the driver in the Alpine. Leaders approaching the best overtaking opportunity of this circuit. Let's see if anybody can make a move this time by. I see Smith. Let's see if he can make his way past. Boyford didn't quite get the best run out of the final chicane. And he's got Silent Banshee just behind as well, but the slipstream and the DRS train is going to be a huge factor tonight. So I think we may see some drivers struggle with finding space to get through. And Johnny, he's already dropped past the 1 second to the top 3, which is not going to be ideal, especially around a circuit with DRS so powerful like Spain. He's got Boyford just behind the lead runner on the alternate strategy, so he's also in a good position for the moment. Banshee and S.D. Smith 6th and 7th at the moment. The dirty air is very powerful around here as well, making it even more difficult. He's managed to keep a respectable gap to Johnny ahead. I don't think he's going to quite be in DRS range once it becomes available. But Banshee's right on the back of Smith. Let's see if he can find a way through even without the DRS. He is right there, but he's just not got enough speed advantage. He's going to look to the inside into turn 1. Is he going to go for it? And he's going to think better of that. Gets a much better run. He's going to go around the outside. I think S.D. Smith had a bit of a moment. That's going to put Banshee up into 6th place. So the championship leader having some struggles early. I think Kaz had a bit of a moment out of the final corner on the last lap. He lost a bit of time. VTech now has started to drop off the 2 leaders. There's a flag, and that's Chris Money out of the race now. And we have our second virtual safety car. That is turn 8. That is one of the trouble spots we looked at earlier. But now this is interesting. Do we see any of the soft runners decide to duck into the pits? Still quite early. Looks like the leaders at least are going to stay out. Don't think anybody's actually going to take a chance, so I'm a bit surprised by that, but looks like Spaceman is going to duck in. So hoping to get off those soft tires. Could go two different ways here. You could try to take the hards to the end, which I think they will likely last, or you could just put on the mediums and commit to a two-stop. See what Spaceman commits to here. As we get back under green flag racing. Looks to be a set of medium tires. So now we'll get back to the fight for the lead. So these guys, they've really set themselves apart. They've got a bit of a gap now. Oh, and there goes Shelley. He's off into the wall. Somehow managed to escape without DNFing, but he's lost his entire front wing. There's a wing up in the air. I think it's just disappeared into the shadow realm. But he's going to lose a few positions. He's lost one to VTech, Johnny, Boy 4, and now he's going to lose out to Banshee as well. So problems for our championship contender. So turn 8 and turn 9 already causing problems for multiple different drivers. And now Boy 4 is up into 4th place on the alternate strategy, so looking very good. Andy's going to be within DRS range of Johnny ahead, so he can just conserve those tires and just maintain the gap for the time being. And that's Shelley out of the race. He's had an issue at the final chicane. What's happened there? I think he may have hit the pit wall. And now we're keeping an eye on this three-way battle for third. Boy 4 on the mediums. He's despite being on the harder compound, he's hanging on to a spot just ahead. Banshee's shown good pace today. He's going to look to the inside. Thought better of it though. SC Smith, he's dropped off a bit from this group. We saw him have a bit of a moment a couple laps ago. Looks like things are starting to settle down now a bit. These guys are opening up a bit of a gap at the front of the field. It's got 2 seconds to VTech. But this is the battle we're watching for the moment. These guys are about 5 seconds off the lead path. But still a long way to go and a lot of strategy to play out. Approaching the DRS, main DRS straight once again. Let's see if anybody is going to be close enough this time. Looks like Banshee might have an opportunity here. But that DRS from Johnny ahead. He might have a chance at Boy 4. He's looking to the outside on the softer compound, but he's not going to have enough momentum. See if Banshee can do the switchback. Not quite. But now he's got an opportunity. He's got the better run on the inside. They're going to go side by side through turn 3 into turn 4, and I think Banshee's going to have 4th place, and he will. So very nice move up the inside of turn 3. Gives him the 4th position. Tracking VTech in second as well. He's managed to trim a little bit off that lead. He's now underneath 2 seconds. So perhaps a bit of tire management phase beginning to enter this race. So we know the softs do not last very long around here. Actually a little bit on the curb there, but luckily manages to keep it okay. See if anybody can have a chance this time around. Johnny's going to go into the pits, and Skadster's in as well, so triggering the undercut. Just a good call from Johnny. He was in this scrap for third. Boy 4 defending to the inside. Banshee makes a move around the outside. He's going to be the inside for turn 2. But Boy 4 gets the better run, and he's going to hang on to the position for now. Banshee is still right there. Quite close enough. SC Smith approaching this battle as well. Ooh, a little bit of contact into turn 6 or turn 5. I don't think there was any damage though. As for Johnny, he came into the pits and back out in 7th. Crucially, Skadster has Kaz wedged in between these two. So Johnny's going to have to negotiate that Ferrari. Skadster's got clean air for the moment, so he's played the strategy to perfection for now. Now back to the battle for second. And that's Kester out of the race. Turn 9 once again, taking another victim. And that's going to put VTech in the net lead as he's going to come into the pits to cover off the other strategy of the other soft runners. Banshee's going to stay out for now. He did manage to get ahead of Boy 4. So maybe a bit of a mistake from the Alpine as he's fit in as well. But now Boy 4 fighting back on the outside. Very tight through turn 2. Lovely racing, managing to keep it clean. This is a very enthralling battle for the lead at the moment. I see Smith, he's come out in 6th place, just behind his teammate. Let's see if he can make up that gap. VTech currently 15 seconds off of Banshee, so in the net lead of the race. Ferrari's doing a bit of a swap there as we expected. So I see Smith now just 1.8 seconds off of Johnny ahead, as they were before the pits started happening. Banshee extending the soft stint. Let's see if this works out for him. He's going to have to come in pretty soon. You might see him in this time. And there he goes. So he's going to give up the race lead. Give it over to Boy 4, who's going to take the lead in on the set of mediums. VTech will take second. We'll have to see where he comes out relative to the Red Bull of Banshee. It looks like he's going to clear him easily. We'll have to see if Johnny is able to jump Banshee with the undercut. With all the battling that Banshee was involved in, I think he might be able to, as well as the fastest lap of the race. Let's see. It's going to be closer to turn 1. I think Banshee's going to just about cover it off. And he will. Takes a nice defensive line into turn 1, so the undercut has not quite worked out. And Banshee comes out in 3rd place. Net P2. Johnny is right there. Let's see if he can find a way to get himself through. He's got S.C. Smith, who's now within DRS range. So it's going to be a 3-way scrap for 3rd. Everybody now running on the medium tires with the exception of Kaz, who's on those hard tires he started this race on. Boy 4 is into the pits already. So a bit of an early stop for the Alpine. But perhaps not feeling the mediums any longer. Let's see what tires he will go on. I expect to see a set of hards, and it is. So it's a bit of an early stop to go for the hards. But he is going to get that out of the way, and he will be able to go to the end of the race. He is going to fall just behind this battle. Johnny's going to have a huge run here at Banshee. He might have an opportunity into turn 1. Looking around the outside, not quite going to be close enough. He's going to look for the switchback, but there's not quite going to be enough room through there, I don't think. He is close, but just can't find a way through. These guys are 6 seconds off the race lead, VTech. Looks to be in control of this race for the time being. Boy 4 is only about 3 seconds behind this group, and we know that they will all have to stop again, so he's not quite in a very bad position at all on that fresh set of hards. And the hards not too bad around this circuit. But again, we're tracking this 3-way scrap, which should get a bit tasty once we come up to the DRS straight once again. Let's see if Banshee can defend from the guys with a little bit worn tires behind him. The dirty guys to the final corner is always a bit of a struggle. I don't think anyone's going to be close enough this time. But it is an awful long straight. Yeah, not quite. And she hangs on to second for the moment. Ooh, S.C. Smith having a bit of a moment behind there. S.C. Smith, he's dropped down to about 1.6 seconds off of that battle per second. Gotta be careful now. Boy Forest closing the gap to about 2.6 behind. And he's not going to want to lose out on that position. And Johnny, as for him, he's just got to stay within the DRS range. He doesn't have the threat as immediately behind him now. So he can afford to relax a little bit and just focus on Banshee ahead. Actually, he might not quite be in the DRS range here, which is not going to be good. And he indeed does not have DRS. Smith's starting to claw that gap back as well. So that's not what Johnny wanted to see at this stage of the race. Still a long way to go, and another cycle of pit stops for almost all these drivers. Gap maintaining just over 1 second between these three. Still only the one time penalty given out so far, and that's for Kaz. I think that's just the 3 seconds. 6 seconds actually. But everybody else has kept it clean so far, but I expect to see quite a few pop up as we get to the latter stages. And Spaceman actually making a move on Kaz. So the fresher medium tires putting him through into 6th place. Kaz still on that original set of hards. Likely going to extend that as long as possible and go to either a set of mediums or a set of softs. Spaceman is just about cleared the DRS range, but I think Kaz is going to be just about too far back. And it's a little bit wide there, so Spaceman is solidly up into 6th. He's got a bit of a gap ahead to Boyflor. He's shown some decent pace so far, but we'll have to see if he can start to narrow that gap a little bit. VTech still maintaining about a 6-second lead to Banshee behind. He's looked very solid in this race. Had a few of his competitors making mistakes through the middle sector, but he's kept it solid. So we're near the halfway point of this race. Boyforce now within 2 seconds of S.C. Smith in the battle for 4th position. So S.C. Smith struggling a bit for pace. We've got Shelley already out of this race, so he's just got to make it to the end and get a solid haul of points. Perhaps not wanting to take any unnecessary risks at this point in time. So a lot of these gaps are starting to stabilize now. And she's starting to make a bit of inroads on VTech. That gap hovering between about 5.5 and 6.5 seconds, oscillating a little bit here and there. But Johnny running a very solid race in 3rd as well. It's up the gap to S.C. Smith to almost 3 seconds now. Boy, Ford is just behind. He's lurking in the distance. Nobody's been able really to make as much inroads as they need, although Banshee's now got the gap down to just about 5 seconds to the race lead. So just this last lap, he's already made up half a second, and he's looking to gain even more. And that's boy 4 who's gone for a spin at the final corner. Luckily, it doesn't look like he has any wing damage, so he's going to be able to stick it out in that stint. But he's going to lose a lot of time. Now, Spaceman's had an issue at the same corner. So the final chicane catching out a few drivers. Luckily, no damage for Spaceman as well. But no, that's, I believe, the third driver we've seen, or fourth driver we've seen have an issue there. Kaz into the pits already, so perhaps coming to a set of medium tires. We also saw S.C. Smith during all that pick up a 3-second time penalty, so the first of this lead group. But Kaz going to a set of softs, so committing to a 2-stop, which is going to give him some good speed towards the end of this race, but let's see if the call will pay off for him. Now back to the battle for the lead. Banshee's closing it down just about 5 seconds now. Only made up about a tenth or two that time by, but he's slowly making progress, which is all he needs to do at this moment. He's managed to drop Johnny to about 3 seconds behind. Same for Johnny to S.C. Smith. So the entire field still has another pit stop on the books, with the exception of Boy Ford, who's likely going to be taking that set of hards to the end. He's still within a pit stop window of about second or third place, but he's going to have an awful big challenge to defend with that worn set of hards at the end of this race. Banshee to about 4.7 seconds now. He's just steadily inching towards VTEC. So once he's gotten that clean air and on that fresh set of tires, it seems his pace has really started to pick up. VTEC will cross the line onto lap 17 here. So this will be the halfway point of tonight's Grand Prix. 4.5 seconds the gap for the lead at the moment. You can see he's just taking off tenths ever so slightly, about a couple tenths every sector, but right now he's doing just about enough. Down to 4.3 now. We're also keeping an eye on S.C. Smith. He's running in fourth at the moment, will be the championship leader. Right now, just looking to extend that gap as much as he can to Shelly the Turtle and capitalize on that DNF. He's been maintaining a pretty consistent gap to Johnny. He's got it down to 2.7 seconds, so it's within striking distance. And perhaps even undercut territory as we approach the second set of pit stops in a few laps. Banshee now within 4 seconds of VTEC. So these medium tires have really made this Red Bull come alive. We'll see if he has enough pace left in the tank as we get towards the end of this race. Still a long way to go. Still a lot of time for things to happen. But now you start to get to the point where you can see the driver you're chasing ahead of you, and it just gives you that extra motivation to chase him down. It also puts more pressure on the guy ahead. And you look back in your rearview mirror and you see someone approaching. 3.5 seconds the gap. You can see he's taking tenths out every corner. I think he'll be up there in just a matter of seconds, but as the great Murray Walker once said, it's one thing to catch, it's another to pass. Especially true for a circuit like Barcelona. So it's one thing to have the pace, but he's still got an awful lot to do. VTEC is in. So he's going to cover off the undercut. Banshee went for an overcut on the last stint. Looks like he's going to go for it again. Should see another set of mediums here for the AlphaTauri. And it looks like it will be. I think he's going to manage to come back out in 4th place. I think he's just about going to have some clean air. Wolfer's going to get a nice run off the final chicane, but he's not going to be close enough. Yeah, close enough. So VTEC now on a fresh set of mediums. And now he's eliminated Banshee's chances at the undercuts. Now, if I was Banshee here, I'd extend that stint on the mediums. He already extended that initial stint further than anybody else, so he has the ability to take this stint further as well. Might be worth throwing on a set of softs and extending these mediums as far as possible. Especially once we get towards the end of the race and the fuel loads become lighter and it becomes easier on the tires. So we'll have to see if that's what he does, but a lot of options that he's got to consider now with 14 laps to go. Let's see if he responds. He's going to stay out, so not worried about covering off the undercut attempt. So likely aiming to offset the strategy or hold out for a safety car, which is still very possible around here with 13 laps to go. SC Smith still holding strong, about 3.5 seconds off of Johnny. Hasn't really been able to close up the gap as much as he needs to, but he hasn't really had to. VTEC, he's making up a lot of time on those fresh mediums. He's already gained a second to SC Smith. So that's another thing for the Ferrari man to consider as we approach the business end of this race. And that's Spaceman in the pits, so this should be another set of mediums. He did start on the softs, so he will be able to put on the set of mediums and take them to the end. I think he's going to be able to do that and come back out ahead of Cass as well, which is going to secure him a very solid 6th place for the moment. Let's get back to Banshee as he approaches the pit entrance. So he's going to stay out once again. So committing to the overcut completely here. VTEC is absolutely chewing up time. Likely he's going to be on for a fastest lap here. But now it becomes a battle of strategy. Johnny is into the pits. So the second round of pit stops starting to go underway. VTEC does go quickest. 20.08. So now he's got about 16 seconds to Banshee. And would you look at that, Boyford has managed to jump ahead of Johnny on that old set of hards, so he might be on to hang on to 4th place here. But those fresh mediums are going to be pretty quick for the Williams driver. And he's still got quite a gap to make up towards the end of the race. VTEC showing great pace for now. He's just got to push as much as possible to try to make sure he's ahead of Banshee by the time he pits. But I think he's going to be able to now. So he might want to start consider saving some of his tires for the end of the race when Banshee has to inevitably come up behind him. So it looks like Banshee will be looking to go to a set of softs here, as he's already taken these mediums well past the distance he needed to. But we still should see him in the next couple laps, even if for a set of softs. And we're also going to have VTech on the back of SC Smith in a couple of laps if SC Smith does not duck into the pits. I think he's got just enough of a gap that he's not going to have to worry about that, but that's another thing that could play into Banshee's favor. VTech really, he's not making up too much of a delta to Banshee, as it stands at least. So perhaps this stint not working out for VTech. You know, Banshee was looking rapid at the end of the during the life of the last stint, so it's going to make things interesting. Although I do think VTech will still have the net race lead when these pit stops inevitably happen. I think SC Smith is going to aim for the same strategy as well. That is going on to another set of softs. There's a yellow flag. That's Spaceman who's had a spin at turn 1. And now we have a virtual safety car. And this could change things. SC Smith has just missed out on the pit lane. But Spaceman missing his entire front wing there. Still having a good race. On for some solid points in 6th. Oh, he's gone off. He's just got to keep it out of the wall and get through to the end of this race, which he does. He's got an awful long way to go to get back to the pits. So does Banshee and SC Smith though, so I don't think we're going to see anybody be able to take advantage of the VSC for a cheap pit stop, which could be a massive change in this race. Still quite a ways to go though, and this VSC has been out for an awfully long time. I wonder if they just might do it, and you'd have to imagine they would take advantage of this opportunity, because that could be enough to get Banshee out ahead of VTech, which could be the race-winning move. And we're still under VSC conditions, and we're entering into the final complex of corners. Oh, and then we've gone green right at the worst possible moment. Banshee was not quite able to make use of that. That is very unfortunate. SC Smith picking up a drive-through as well, so he's going to have to serve that this time by, and then he's going to have to come back in, which is going to change things once again. Spaceman and Kaz both into the pits. So now the gap between the leaders is 13 seconds. And now SC Smith, he's had to serve his drive-through. He's going to come out behind Boy 4 and Johnny. So the battle for third is starting to heat up. But we're still tracking the battle for the lead. The gap is now 12 seconds. You got to think Banshee's got to come in this time by, because he's going to want to use up as much of the softs as possible. Because he's going to have a lot of ground to make up, and he's going to want to not run out of time towards the end of this race. But that VSC lasted almost an entire lap and ended right as they were approaching the pit entry. So a bit of a missed opportunity there, but I think this is going to give us an exciting and climactic end of the race. And she's still staying out. So the other thing to consider, he's been on these mediums now for 15 laps, but you have to wonder if he's trying to aim to take those to the end. He's got about a 12-second gap, so he might just be able to do it. It's just a matter of will the tires last. There's the yellow flag, and that's SC Smith who's gone for another spin. So a drive-through and then a spin on those old tires, so not the best of luck here in the second half of this race. Luckily, he's got the gap to Kaz, so he should be able to maintain 5th place. That's just not been the race he wanted tonight. Meanwhile, Johnny's within the DRS of Boy 4 in the battle for third on the much fresher medium tires. Should be a great opportunity for him to clear the Alpine. We've also got the Ferrari of Kaz just ahead, who might implicate DRS into this for Boy 4. And just see the grip advantage Johnny has on those fresh tires. But now it's a Banshee, and you have to think, if he doesn't come in this time by, maybe even next time, that he's aiming to take this set of mediums to the end, which would be quite the feat. And there he is into the pits. So this should be a set of softs for the Red Bull driver. Now here's VTech. He's already at the final chicane, so I think he's going to take over the race lead. Yellow flag for Kaz moving out of the way. VTech comfortably going to be ahead. Banshee does go to the softs. Let's see what the gap will be. He's got 8 laps to go. But it's not going to be an easy task. See, about 8 seconds he's got to make up. But here's the battle for third. Johnny's got the DRS. But I don't think this time he's going to be close enough. He's going to go for a move to the outside. But he's going to be a bit too far back. So Boy Ford making a nice defense for the moment. He might have a chance to hang on to this. Spaceman and Kaz battling out for 6th place. These two have both had their fair share of struggles tonight, but still in a good position. Props to them for carrying on and making a good race out of it. Now Spaceman looking to the inside of Kaz, but not quite enough there. They're tracking Johnny and Boyfor as well. So we get to the DRS straight. This one's not quite going to be long enough, I don't think. At least not this time. Spaceman just about within DRS range. But he's not going to be close enough to make a move. Here's Banshee. He's got the gap down to 7.8 seconds already. But he's only made up about half a second this lap. And he's going to need to do more than that, as we only have 7 laps to go. Back down to the battle for third. Johnny's a bit closer this time, and I think he might be within striking distance. Meanwhile, Spaceman does get past Kaz. That's for 6th. Going back to this battle, Boyford defending to the inside. That's very nice to position his car well. Johnny's going to have to wait behind once again. So Banshee now down to 7.2 seconds. Switch over to penalties for the moment. Kaz does have 14 seconds worth of penalties, so Spaceman should be in a good position to lock down 6th place. Banshee not really making the inroads we expected him to on the softs, which is not what he wants to see. S.C. Smith taking the fastest lap, getting those bonus points, which could be crucial in this championship fight. It does have it now underneath 7 seconds. So he's making up a bit more on this time. We'll keep an eye on this battle, but we're just watching the interval right now between Banshee and VTech, and he's made up just about a second that lap, putting in the fastest lap of the race. So that's what he wants to do, what he needs to do, and he might have enough now. Boyford does not get the best run out of the final corner, and this could be Johnny's chance. He should have the move done, and now it's just going to be a matter of clearing the gap so that Boyford can't fight it back. Which should not be too much of a problem on the fresher mediums, but he's going to have to make sure he gets a good run through Sector 3 on this lap in order to hang on to that 3rd place. You can see he's already cleared half a second, putting in the personal best Sector 1. I don't think he's going to be able to clear 1 second before this first detection point, but if he could, that would be massive. But all Boyford needs to do, he's just got to stay within striking distance for now and wait for the mistake. He's not going to have the grip advantage at this stage, but he's going to have DRS right here. So that will allow him to get a little bit of a gap back so he can have the DRS again for the main straight. You can see those old hards not feeling too good, and he's dropped out of DRS range, so that should be Johnny solidly into 3rd, and he's just got to maintain that gap like he has been. And he will clear DRS. So Johnny solidly into 3rd. Let's focus our attention back on the battle for the lead. Banshee's got it down to 5.5 seconds now. Didn't take quite enough out of that last lap as he would have wanted to. got quite an awful long way to go. And as we get towards the end of this race, those softs are only going to get worse and worse. It's just not going to make things any easier for him. It'll be 4 laps to go this time. Gap's still over 5 seconds, so he's going to need over a second a lap. And as it stands, I don't think he's going to be able to do that. Also tracking Spaceman and Kaz, who are still scrapping away for 6th on track. We know penalties are going to be a thing. But we're still watching the interval. Seeing if Kaz has enough time to make a move. He's going to have to DRS this time. But he's not going to be close enough. See, Banshee's still over 5 seconds back as we hit 4 laps to go. So it's been a great duel, fantastic duel between these top 2 tonight. I think it's just about going to swing VTech's way. He's drove a near perfect race. Made all the strategy calls just right, and I think it's going to pay off for him, but he's still got 4 laps to go to hang on. And looking at Boyfor, he was within the 1 second gap for a moment, but I think he made a bit of a mistake at turn 1. Just dropped well off of the DRS range now, so he should just try to hang on to 4th place, which I think he will. Banshee's still inching closer, but I think it's going to be just a bit too little too late. As we've said before, he needs to make up over a second per lap. And this last time by, he's only made up about half or 6/10 of a second. Makes up a lot through Sector 3. And actually that time by, he did manage to pull up about 9/10 of a second as he does go quickest once again. But he's still got over 4 seconds to make up and only 3 laps to do it. But crucially, you see VTech low on that ERS button, which could play a factor here. Now within 4 seconds. We're going to assume the rest of the positions are fairly settled, so we're going to stick with this battle for the lead. It's a Verstappen v Hamilton-esque chase down with 3 laps to go. It's making up a pretty decent amount of time this time by. Oh, and that Spaceman out of the session at turn 1. Luckily, I think he's still going to classify, but that is unfortunate. So those curbs have caught out quite a few drivers tonight. Spaceman, the most recent. Luckily, we'll still get the points, but now back to this battle. This is where Banshee gains the most time. It's a bit wide through there. That might have been a warning, which could be crucial. Attacking the curbs at the final chicane. And just look at the delta come down through the final corner. Another fastest lap. Made up about 8/10 that time. That's not going to be enough. At this point, he's going to have to pretty much hope for a mistake or a penalty from VTech. Because he will be within that 3-second window. But I think it's going to be an awful lot to ask for him to close that gap. He's made up a considerable amount of time. I think he's just not quite going to be close enough. He is within 3 seconds now. And now he can see VTech ahead of him, but now the bad thing for him is this is going to be the last trip by the DRS straight, which is going to be the best opportunity he's going to have to make his way through. So even if he does catch up, he's going to have an awfully hard time finding a way through. Down to 2 seconds now, so he made up over a second that time. This should be another fastest lap. 1.8 seconds. I think he's going to fall just about 1 or 2 laps short. If he can get within DRS range down the back straight, he might have at least a sliver of hope. But even that's going to be a big task. Down under 1.5 seconds now. He may actually have DRS off the back of the lap car of SC Smith, but he does not know. Down to 1.2 seconds. You can see the race win just ahead of him. One more lap, I think he might have had it, but coming through the final chicane for the last time in the AlphaTauri, playing the strategy just about to perfection by the exact lap, is going to be VTech rounding the final corner to take home the Spanish Grand Prix. What a thrilling end to that race, with an insane battle between the top two. Banshee coming up just 1 or 2 laps short. And here's Johnny crossing the stripe to finish 3rd. Boy Ford just behind him in 4th. Very solid result for the Alpine Reserve. Kaz will be the final driver to cross as he's going through the gravel there. He's not had the greatest race, but he's still gonna keep it home and bring it home in one piece. Bring him a solid 6th place and a good haul of points for the Ferrari team. Crucially for SC Smith in the championship, making up lots of inroads. Considering Shirley the Turtle with the DNF tonight. And now through the final chicane. Very entertaining race, lots of drama with the strategy. But Kaz does cross the line to take home 6th place. And that will conclude our coverage for Tier 2 at Spain. Let's take one quick look through the final finishing results. So VTech takes on the race win, Banshee 2nd, Johnny 3rd, Boy 4th, SC Smith 5th, Kaz is 6th, Spaceman 7th, he will still classify, and it's Scadster, Shelley, Chris Money, and Cross Tier T. That's all for now. We'll catch you in a few minutes for Tier 1.